We've had the chance to take real experts around the island. Or I can begin with the Montserrat National Trust material. We feel that we've got control over. We've made a documentation. We know what's here. We know what condition it's in. We know how to repair it and how to conserve it. It's just a matter of time. If we can bring students, consequently, to the trust, we can save the papers here. But it's the tip of an iceberg if you're looking at the whole of Montserrat and all the archives on the island. But in one sense, it's very interesting and exciting because although it's a large amount of material, it's still, how can I say, accessible. You could see an end. If you started to conserve and repair the papers, you could see an end to the problem, maybe 20 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 5 years, because of the size of the island. It's not, the whole of the United Kingdom's archive it's a small island. So if you started now, consequently, to work through the material, you could see an end to it. But it needs some decisions to be made. We haven't got a central archive to send historical material to. The rule usually in Europe is after 100 years, when it's not a working material, even births, deaths, marriages, any archive material, it should be sent to a central archive where it can be properly stored. And in the meantime, you can scan it for people who want access for it. I know the library is starting a scanning process now, but we haven't got a central archive. We haven't got a place that's really adequate for long-term storage. So that needs to be addressed. And this also needs some sort of scientific study, because we've looked at the storage rooms in the government buildings, and three very similar storage rooms give very different climates, just on where they've been located on in the building. So we feel we need the next step would be some sort of a scientific study of which is not just the best type of room to store it in, but where it should be situated. It could be too near the sea, so the salt air would destroy it. It could be something coming from the ground. So 2 of the storage rooms we looked at, one was just about accessible, and one we couldn't go in because we needed gas masks because the mildew was so strong. And they're very similar rooms. So I would suggest the next stage would be to commission or ask maybe the University of Cologne to do a little bit of a more long-term study into what would be the best type of long-term storage room for the island. And then you need to make decisions about when does this documented material become historic, and it could be sent to a central archive. I know that the University of Cologne are interested in a long-term commitment because it's a very interesting historical study material. It would give the students from Cologne the possibility to work in a tropical climate, but anyway accessible. It's, as I say, it's a lot, quite a few interesting case studies that could be done. So it could be a win-win situation to establish a long-term project with the University of Cologne, where they could send their students on placements or to do case studies here. You would get your material conserved and good advice, and they would get very, very interesting study material.